folks. Hello and welcome to Talking Crit. I am your bartender in the OSR, Eric Tenkar. And with me, as is always every Wednesday night, is my work spouse,
I'm
Michael
not. Are you
Satellite.
sure we're live? I'm seeing waiting. Oh, here it is. Popped up.
We're
Okay,
live. I
it
don't.
was a commercial. Okay,
It
well
could have been.
they stick a
People could.
commercial on your stuff now because I guess they sell a lot of tchotchkes. Commercializing Tenkar's Tavern.
We got it.
So
We got to commercialize
the
Tenkar's
billions of
Tavern.
listeners,
We
the
make
billions and millions.
we make like $2 a day. I mean, oh my God, the
More.
chat
Hey,
room.
more when somebody sends us $5 through.
Well,
Yeah,
that's always
every
an
once in a while
option.
we get $5. Somebody throws us a crumpled up $5 bill. They just throw it at us and they run off.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta pay for Giant Land some way. It's gonna have to be through.
You're gonna need a lot more $5 bills, brother.
I mean,
A lot $5 more.
maybe I need to dance for it. I can.
No. Or you could do what my brother did a couple years ago and threaten to dance unless you were given money. And Kurt Gould immediately donated $50 to. So
Well,
Robert would
that was a
dance.
wise way to do it. The threat is often
Yes.
worse than the actual reality.
Nobody wants to see my brother in a Speedo, yet we do every year. It's a conundrum. It's absolute conundrum. I don't get it.
It is the way.
I'm beginning to think we're part of his little fetish weirdo in this, and I think he's won. I think he's winning. I think he's got us. Oh, look at this! Ty's here early. Look at this! Wow, the attorney on time, and an on-time attorney. This never happens.
Well, I would assume it usually happens in court when they actually have to go to court.
Maybe,
perhaps.
All those judges are looking at porn back there. They don't have time.
No. That's
I've heard. That's
another story.
That's just what Ty told me. Oh no, wait, he never said that. No, Ty loves
no.
He loves judges. He tells me how much he loves them.
That judges that watch porn in their
loves judges.
Like
yeah.
I love the judges in a very personal manner.
So let's start out by our news feature this week in COVID. So you've had it I've had it longer than you, so you go ahead and tell me what's going on with you.
Rich and I are at the 2-week mark, and so I tested myself yesterday with one of the home COVID tests, and the test was negative. So I no longer like the COVID typhoid Mary.
Good.
However, I was like, oh, this is great. I haven't had to take a nap since Thursday, and I'm only sleeping 8.5, 9 hours. And Rach and I had a day of doctor's appointments and running errands. And then we came back and had a late lunch. And the next thing I knew, my Facebook Messenger was telling me I was having a call from someone. And then I slept through the call because it was too
See, I did that last week. I had a 10-hour sleep day, which is weird for me because I usually get 5 or 6 hours. So I think right on the tail end of that, you start getting tired again because I was fine the whole week. Our wife had it much worse than I did. Now she's been to the doctor since I haven't been to the doctor still. I haven't been tested in 2 weeks because Texas has you can't find tests anywhere, and the lines to get tested are 7 hours long. I'm not going to wait in it. So I just assume I'm through with it because I'm not really sick anymore. Except I can't taste or smell very good. A little bit. I get a little bit there, but not much. I'm a little worried when I read stuff on Facebook about people saying they've lost their sense of taste the last 12 to 14 months. I don't like that because I like food and I like whiskey, and that sucks not to taste it. Ty, I was going to say, Ty, didn't you already have it? So Ty got it again. There you go. Because it's a different variant. You probably got Delta last time. Now you're Omicroning us with us. Sorry, Ty. But let's go vaccines. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. No,
I'm glad I had them because honestly, I'm glad I had it because I had a week of like, I feel yuck, but I'm okay. And you're the same way, right, Eric? I mean, you didn't, you had a week.
It was the first 4 or 5 days was really like almost like an old world experience because the brain fog was huge. I really haven't had a huge amount of brain fog the last couple of days. But that first week and a half, it was kind of like I'm just a little slow.
I remember when you told me that you had brain. Now, I never had the brain fog. I had a little tired. I had a cough. This is the first day the cough felt really good. Oh no, Jeff T's got it too. Jelanian has it.
Let's form the.
I think everybody, So my wife's doctor told her. I brought the doctor the other day. She took a test. She no longer has it. She still has a little bit of issues, but not much. The doctor told her, in her expert opinion, being a physician, however many years, 20-something years, everybody's going to get this. This one is extremely contagious. Everybody's catching it. Doesn't matter if you've had 2 shots. And she also added a little something there. Now, this is you do your own advice. I'm not a doctor here. I'm just saying what a doctor told my wife. She said, don't even bother with the flu shot this year. They got it all wrong. Really? Because if you don't know how they give flu shots, they sit, a bunch of think tanks sit around and say, okay, what do we think the strains are the most susceptible that'll be out there? They stick it all in the flu shot. And sometimes they get it right and you get a flu shot and you don't have flu that year. And sometimes they get it horribly wrong and it really doesn't help you. Well, apparently, from what the doctor told my wife, they got it horribly wrong this year. And so, I'm sorry. I said, oh gosh, I've got brain fog now. My wife's doctor did not tell her that. That was my doctor that told me that. I am very sorry. I got brain fog now. But that's what they said. They got it terribly wrong this year. I've been on my doctor. I text him because we went to school together, Dr. Joe, and so I can talk to him back and forth. So he's been checking on me. He said, "Yeah, don't worry about the flu shot this year because they got it wrong, horribly wrong."
Okay, cool. Rachel's like, good, because she hasn't gotten hers yet.
And she says, don't take my advice. I'm not a physician.
He's not a doctor.
He's not a doctor. I don't even pretend to be one.
Video screen on the case.
Ty says his doctor told us they were get. Yeah, my doctor. Yeah, one of our, as a matter of fact, Dr. Joe's daughter. Okay, check this out. Now she's young and healthy. She got COVID, the flu, and pneumonia all over the Christmas break. She got all 3 of them at the same time. Now, luckily, she's young and healthy and had her shots. But, yeah, it's just everybody's going to eventually get this. We're going to fight through it, and hopefully the next version will be a little weaker, and we'll just keep going from there. But, yeah, we're going to get to where we're catching this like 2 or 3 times a year. You watch.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was watching a video, and it was saying that actually some common colds are in the same family as our current COVID-19. Mm-hmm. And you can get some partial immunity from having a cold that will lessen the effects of Omicron because, again, it's the same family. But God help us. So yeah,
Ty's daughters, both the wonderful Beard daughters, got it apparently, and then Ty caught it from them. Good job, Ty.
You gotta share and share. Like, listen, I got COVID with my wife.
He's a better lawyer than he is a risk assessment person. Let me just tell you.
Well, okay, that's a weird way to put it, but yeah, you're right.
We're hanging out with his 2 daughters. COVID was a great idea. So anyway, Eric and I are doing better. We didn't suffer too much, and that's what I keep hearing from people. I told the story of my wife going to the emergency room last week, and it was empty emergency room. The doctors were just whatever. They were not too excited about my wife having COVID because they said Omicron. If you have to catch one, that's the one to catch. That's what I was told. So
pick me, Mr. Carter. Pick me.
So hopefully we can be through this. And I was even told by a physician, don't worry about the booster now. The booster can protect you from Omicron. You got Omicron, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about the booster. Like, okay, don't worry about it.
Wait, I am boosted. So now, am I like?
So how much that help you? That help you okay?
I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I listen. It's one of those things. Like I don't know how much worse it would have been had I not been boosted or had I not been vaccinated. I don't want to say immunized because it's not an immunization, right?
No,
it's a vaccination. So, but
I will compare my what happened to me versus somebody I know that wasn't vaccinated, and I did get through the week better than that person did. I don't know if that's because I had the vaccination or not, but my experiences were much better than that person. But, a lot of this probably is genetic. Who knows? But it appears we finally ran into a version of COVID that's not too horrible. I've had worse flus. I've had worse sinus infections. it's gross. And the part about losing the taste and the smell is awful. I can't tell you how much that's messed up my life. That has really screwed me up because not tasting food, you're just not hungry. Now it helps you lose weight because you don't want to eat anything. Like right now I'm drinking so my usual Wednesday drink, I take a little whiskey. I take a little Diet Coke, mix it up. I can't taste the whiskey at all. I can smell it if I stick my nose all in there. So I can't taste it. So that ruins some of the effect. And the Diet Coke just tastes like bubbly water, kind of acid. It doesn't taste good. So I'm drinking this, and I'm thinking it doesn't taste good because I just can't really taste it.
Well, yeah. If you don't want to drink, it's another solution. Just clean my taste buds.
I like to drink though. I like booze.
No, I do too. Dude, I understand. I got my wine in this little wine.
All right, there you go.
Cup, because this way, if the bars come in, they won't yell at me for having ice in my red wine.
So, doing okay. Our spouses are doing okay too, because our spouses got sick too.
Yes.
Hopefully Jeffrey, Ty, and everybody else here will be doing okay. So, we have got an action-packed show tonight. What would they also used to say on the we've got a really big shoot tonight.
It's Sullivan, right?
It's Sullivan. Yeah, it's a
shoot. Yeah.
A big shoot tonight because we had so many interesting tidbits that happened in the last week. And here we are. We're still into 2022. We still don't have a special guest yet. I mean, I don't know. We might not be able to fit one in this year if it keeps rolling like this. We have to say,
oh, God. And literally, like I was telling Mike before the show, like Rach and I, we had doctor's appointments, we were running errands, and we had a late lunch, and I fell asleep after late lunch, and I literally did not hear my phone going off telling me that somebody was trying to contact me on Facebook Messenger. Now, I'm going to apologize right now because sometimes when people give me relevant information / breaking news, they want me to name them. And then sometimes they don't want me to name them. And if I don't name them, it's like, oh, but I thought you were going to give me a shout out. And if I do name them, I usually get the, wow, I really wish you hadn't. Without being, if I'm not told, hey, give me a shout out, I'm not going to name you. You're going to be.
That's a good policy. Yeah.
You're one of the taverners. All right. Somebody who's, popped me with interesting information before. So, this is information that you've not seen on the channel before. This is something that we're not adding further details to. And I hate to say it, but it's something that I take a little perverse satisfaction in for the fact that when we talk about like it's fake news or disinformation, when people have no clue about the topics they're talking about, this was an example of it. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about dun 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 Gen Con TV.
Oh, you're leading with the least important people, and you're working your way up to the most important. I like it.
Well,
okay,
because,
so this became one of our This Week in Stupids last year because they have ostensibly this. I guess it's a news show. It's sponsored by Gen Con, but it really doesn't necessarily cover Gen Con. It just talks about stuff in gaming, kind of like we do. They go around the horn, and they do a lot of
there's different sub-channels within it. But what it is, Gen Con TV is something that streams on Twitch live, and then the recorded shows get put up on YouTube. And what we're talking about is in specific table takes, tabletop news and talk. These lovely individuals were the ones that over the summertime when the PSR wonderful shit was bursting into flaming bags of shit, said such wonderful comments such as Ernie and Luke don't talk to each other and have different mothers.
Oh, these are those ladies.
These are those ladies, yes.
Yes. The ones that did not know that they were actually blood relatives.
Family history.
Yes.
Listen,
they got Ernie mixed up with Alex. They got.
On that note, big stuff.
Rach, like that's it. I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm taking the bath.
Thank you, Rach. Thanks for that hot take, Rach. But they thought that Ernie, I guess, was Alex, and they didn't bother to do a Wikipedia search.
No
search.
anything.
Basic research that would have told them that yes, Luke and Arnie are indeed brothers.
And they get along. And even Alex, their half brother, gets along with his half sibling.
Yes, they
not an estranged family. They're only estranged from the evil stepmom.
Right.
My opinion, by the way.
That was
in particular.
That was a major faux pas. Major faux pas. Yeah, and I thought what I thought was funny is they're sponsored by Gen Con, yet they have less page views than you do, and you're frankly you're nobody. You and I are nothing, and we get higher page views than these four ladies. So that's shocking to me. They have the entire weight of Gen Con behind them, and they can't get anybody to watch their show. And I looked at their comment section. The comment section is like a Western street with a tumbleweed rolling through it. There's no comments on any of their stuff. I mean, it was just, I don't know if anybody watched it or cared about it, or, you know.
Yeah, I think the most views were when they were talking about Gary Con. It was Gary Con.
Well, no, they got 500 views for one of their videos where they previewed the vendor hall at Gen Con, which that's a pretty. I would watch that because that's cool if you're gonna walk up and down the vendor hall with a camera. But everything else they have is like under 100 views, and I mean way under 100 views, not just a couple of views under.
Right.
And so
the dead YouTube channel. I don't know how well the Twitch was doing, but obviously not well.
No,
because the official announcement of Gen Con TV at the end of this month, this is dated yesterday, our year-round Gen Con TV live streaming program will go on indefinite hiatus. Now, I consider indefinite hiatus to be hello, goodbye. We're done
for quite a while until Gen Con comes back next summer, maybe.
Maybe. Our current weekly shows on Twitch: Board Games with the Brothers Murph, This Game Gets Dicey, and Table Takes. Table Takes, by the way, is the one that Mike and I really, really like in a negative manner. We'll continue streaming for the rest of January before stopping production. Live streaming on our Twitch channels during the convention will continue to be a major component of the experience for both in-person and online attendees and fans. So I guess they'll be back, or somewhere will be back during the convention. A huge thanks to the host, guests, moderators, and production staff who have worked tirelessly to create incredible. Now, I would put air quotes around incredible because it is incredible, but not incredible in the way that they think it is. Content for us throughout the past few years. We look forward to relaunching Gen Con TV in the future with, I'm going to insert this myself, all new hosts and shows. And in the meantime, we encourage you to check out the Gen Con TV archive on demand on YouTube. Now, by the way, our Discord server will also be temporarily closing at the end of this month. And we'll relaunch this summer in the lead up to Gen Con Indy 2022. So that almost seems like they're trying to minimize the amount of hands-on before the convention. Interesting. I didn't even catch that in my initial read-through. I
think it's just one of those things. You know, you try to promote Gen Con, so you throw that out there, and I guess they gave it a pretty good long time to get a viewership, and it just never really had a niche or got a viewership. The couple of shows I listened to, I thought their takes are really lukewarm because they can't say anything too controversial. They're being employed by Gen Con, so it's just really surface, very lukewarm, not very informed. It's just I didn't see anything that appealed to me at all.
You know what it is? It's Clownfish TV without the flash and with even less knowledge.
Yeah, because at least Clownfish TV tries to shock you into watching. You know, they'll have something some over the top, breathless title like, "Oh my, TSR destroys WotC watch it. Oh, I gotta see that. And you watch it like, okay, they really don't have that great take either.
Too much of anything,
but they manage to get thousands of viewers. I mean, they get a lot of viewers because they're very sensationalized. It's like the TMZ. I mean, they're gonna throw out all this crazy stuff, and then next week they're going to throw out more crazy stuff about something else. I mean, they're not going to follow up on their story. Heaven forbid they would follow up on a story or anything.
Right.
And so these gals just didn't really even. It wasn't very appealing. There wasn't anything there I thought was really that interesting. Like I said, I listened to a couple. I'm like, this is a waste of my time. I mean, it was basically product placement programming, right? Like,
Right.
oh, we got this new game. It's this, and they would talk about, it's product placement. Nothing ever got a bad rating. Nobody ever said anything bad about anything. It was just,
It was. Listen, I joke and I say, listen, Mike and I would do public access cable TV, like back from like 30 years ago, and like it's like we're like the Wayne's World, okay?
We are
the Wayne's World
because we don't. Look, I mean, like I'll show you a professional right now. I'm looking for my microphone that fell out. Now, obviously, I don't need it because you can hear me. But while we're talking, I'm looking for my microphone. Nobody does that. That's the most unprofessional thing ever. Yet it's going to drive me crazy the whole show if I don't find my damn microphone. So I'm looking for it everywhere. So that's how unprofessional we are.
Right.
And Eric goes to the bathroom and we see a green screen. And
wait. How often do I go? Listen, I was hospitalized. If I need to go to the bathroom, I just pop out the urinal and I go as I'm talking. You'll never know. That to me is professional. It's like, well, if you got to go, man.
We're not really, we're just kind of rolling this. We don't really know what we're doing, but yeah, I mean, we don't have Gen Con money behind us though. No. I mean, if Gen Con said we're going to sponsor Talking Crit, then I would at least shave, before my show and maybe change my clothes or something because that's
right.
These guys are big money,
I would lean forward from my chair so the green screen kind of works better as opposed to leaning back into it. The green screen because of the halo effect. I know people.
Right. Yeah, you got that weird effect.
What's going on with your hair, man? You got like this green halo. It's like, and I want to say, hey, listen, I'm a big fan of Avenger, and I figured the green halo gets me into the church, but that's not the reason. It's just because I use a virtual green screen. Because otherwise, you'll like see Rachel sitting in the chair behind me as she's like on her phone making comments when we're doing this live, which again is part of the charm of the show. But.
Sure, because we have no clue what we're doing, but we have a lot of passion, even though we don't know what we're doing.
Yes, we certainly do.
We're going to entertain you.
Right.
Try to entertain you.
So now this is the newest news and something that has not been touched upon. Now we have other news that is certainly relevant, has been brewing throughout the week. Mike, do you want to start the next set? Not that we anything, but we already know what we're talking about, just not the order.
No, you go ahead and roll with it. You're rolling pretty good here. I'll kibitz. You
You'll kibitz. All right.
Yeah, kibitz.
Mike's gonna kibitz. I'm gonna schmitz. But what we're gonna, for those who might not have heard, if you've missed prior episodes, if you've not put on Facebook. Darlene basically made a huge statement about the pressure that was being put on her to sign a contract that was given to her by TSR/Justin Lanatha in regards to the wizard head. I always used to call it the moon logo, the moon head logo. She refers to it as the wizard head logo. And basically, I think the initial contract required her to defend TSRs to basically defend or proactively take what do you tell?
There we go.
There we go. Oh, there we go. That's the logo.
Yeah.
And wanted her to be basically required to proactively defend their position in court. And she was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. There's no way. And then they wanted her to make a statement that she had never signed away or signed in any way or given anyone any kind of legal rights to that logo prior. And as she put it, the logo that they were exhibiting in Exhibit A was not her logo because it was of much lower quality than the work that she did.
It was a redrawn one, like they did with the Lizard Man logo, and they redrew it.
And the wizard with the hat on, and the wizard with the hat on, I think you can count the stars. The stars get moved around on the hat because now
basically they redrew these, and so they're asking her to claim something that isn't hers as hers. And so Darlene, obviously most famous in D&D circles for doing the original World of Greyhawk map, but
Yes.
but did a lot of illustration in the first few years of TSR. A lot of, she did Jasmine cartoon. The last few issues, she did a really beautiful cover for Dragon 33, which I had. I had it sit back there. I'll just look at that. A couple other things, and so just a very, very, very wonderful artist and very wonderful lady. And so they were basically just, putting the full court press on her, saying, "Hey, you need to help us out here." And they were using the card. We're TSR. We're TSR. We're Ernie and Jeff and all your buddies, and we really want you to sign this thing. And she just trusted her instincts, which told her this wasn't kosher.
Right, and even Ernie put personal pressure on her, saying that by her not signing the contract, she could jeopardize benefits that her friends would financially lose out on, I guess. And then he said, you could actually negotiate double the initial offer. And my understanding is that, and really, I think that somebody should, not to be me, but somebody who knows Darlene better than I do should put together a GoFundMe for Darlene, because I understand that she has work that needs to get done in her house. She could have benefited from the money, but she had, she was honest. Wasn't gonna make statements that were not true. And recently, now it's come to light that Mike Carr has put pressure on her. I don't even know how that came up, to sign the contract.
A name up till now has not popped up in any of the Lanasa new TSR stuff. I'm pretty shocked. I mean, it's just kind of a name out of nowhere. And they were friends way back in the original TSR days. That they've been friends a long time, and she stated that he was somebody that she trusted a lot, and so she almost did this just because he suggested she do it. But so I don't know what Mike's part is in this. I mean, like I said, his name hasn't come up at all until now. So a lot of these guys, Jim Ward with Giantlands, Ernie, there's look back in the day, these guys, when they worked for TSR, by the way, I finished the Game Wizards this weekend. Great book if you want to know pretty much exactly what happened from TSR until up to 1985 when Gary was fired. It's just really amazing. And these guys back then, they were just working at a company. They didn't necessarily have any health insurance or anything like that. You got guys right now, that like Ernie and Jim, and I'm sure Tom Wam and Mike Carr and all these guys, that they don't have an income stream. They don't have insurance. They probably didn't pay a lot into their Social Security.
Right. There's no 401k. There's no profit sharing that they're relying upon. Not going to talk about a pension. So this is and if
they haven't written anything, Mike Carr has.
You're going to work till you die.
Yeah, Mike Carr became very successful in other business ventures, but some of these guys don't really work anymore. They just don't do anything anymore. So they have very limited money coming in, and so I'm sure whatever Lanasa tells them sounds really exciting. Hey, we're gonna make this a museum. It's gonna be a mecca for people to come. We're gonna make a lot of money doing this. I don't know what he says. I'm just guessing. This is the kind of thing that would get people all. This is why Ernie is just defending this guy and just. Why he's not going to attend GaryCon now. When we found out he's not going to attend GaryCon.
Well, is he definitely not showing up at all? He's not running any games.
No, not running any games at GaryCon. Not going to show up because of the mask mandates. He doesn't want to wear a mask.
See, the last I had read is that he was hinting that he would talk to fans in the halls, and that to me insinuated.
Well, you can walk up and down the halls. You don't have to be going to the convention to go into the lobby.
And that's what I was figuring. He's going to use the excuse. Yeah. Well, it's not the convention. It's the halls of the Grand Geneva, and
right. So
so kind of.
I'm not covered by the mask mandate now.
Yeah. I'm going to rules lawyer this, and that was before and after his game session. But he's running 8-hour game sessions at $100 a head, so I don't know how much time he's really going to be spending in Geneva.
He might come over at night to sit in the bar and hang out with people. I mean, I guess he doesn't drink anymore, so I don't know. He just wants to hang out with people and talk to people. So I guess he'll say hi to people, but. But I mean, back to what we're talking about is, a lot of these guys are, I wouldn't really call it being bamboozled by him. It's just that they want to believe this. They want to believe that this guy is going to make them relevant again. Especially, I think in Ernie's case, Ernie's always lived in the shadow of everybody. He lived in his dad's shadow.
Yep.
In the last few years, he's lived in his brother's shadow because Luke has become a big player in the convention industry, and also in Hollywood. He does a lot of these online shows, and so I think if Ernie had successfully completed Memorial Tomb back 5-6 years ago, and it actually come out in time, maybe we'd have a different story here. Be like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. You played at conventions and people think it's kind of neat and they talk about it. But he's always had that very elusive fame. He's never had any of the fame that his dad or his brother has had. And so, this is something that probably appeals to him. Like, hey, I could be somebody. This is something I could help run the museum. This Lanasa guy says we're going to bring in tons of people. I believe him.
All right, and the museum's always been his dream. He's always dreamt
Right.
of this idea of the museum. That's the pitch, from what I understand. That was when Justin and Ernie met at another convention. The pitch was, hey, I've already run a museum. I own a museum. We could do this. We could get the property. We could make this happen with your name and my experience. This could work.
Mhm.
And
Sure.
So listen, everybody has a dream that they aspire to, and dreams are the hardest things to give up. I've seen it with my son, and he had his dream to be a pilot, and my God, that thing that was harder to kill than like a foot fungus, man. It was
boy, yeah.
Oh, geez. Oh.
I mean, and like I said, Ernie and reading the Game Wizards, which is a great book, by the way. We got to have John Peterson on. So I have so many questions, but the Game Wizards was great. But yeah, I mean, Ernie, his job back in the old days was just to run the Dungeon Hobby Shop. He didn't contribute to anything that was going on. He didn't do any actual writing or editing or creative design. He ran the Dungeon Hobby Shop, which means they filled orders when orders came in to buy stuff. So that was his claim to fame. And then the last 40 years, he ran what they call the Hobby Shop Dungeon, but it was never published. And so Memorial Tomb, they did. I know he and Luke did Lost City of Gaxmore. They did it for 3rd edition. They recently just did a successful Kickstarter for it again, but it hasn't had the. That's why I always laugh. People say, "Oh, well, look, TSR is putting the band back together." No, they're not. That was never a band. That was like that band never existed because
this isn't the band. Okay, the band existed as
right.
Tim Path,
but that's not the band. Yeah,
right.
Those guys weren't in the band. Those guys were the backup singers. They weren't even the backup singers. Those guys were the roadies. Setting up stuff.
Right. So it's kind of like saying, wait. So the roadies for the Rolling Stone are bringing the band back together. So they're going to carry the instruments for new members of the Rolling Stone. Oh,
it's
no.
Like when you see, they go, hey, REO Speedwagon's in concert. All right. Well, there's really only one original member here. It's the bassist, who really wasn't one of the original bassists. He was there for like 5 years. Oh, so we're just seeing REO Speedwagon light. No, really not. Yeah. That's kind of how when they say, hey, TSR is going to be, it's a TSR that you love. Well, not so much. It's really, really not.
No. And Tim Kask, but I'm going to just step ahead of the story here for a second. So Tim Kask did a video as Curmudgeon in the Dungeon, or whatever he calls his channel. It's great. You should watch it. Mm-hmm. Near the end of his video, he says a piece in support of Darlene. And if you know Tim, Tim can be what's the polite way to say it? A crotchety fuck. If you're on Tim's shit list, you will fucking know you're on Tim's shit list. He doesn't hold back.
Right.
He was actually very polite. It was very tame for Tim, but he did say something to the effect of, "You are not the TSR of old, and you can't be because we're all dying."
Right.
We're all dying. And what we had was Camelot, and you can't resurrect Camelot.
And Tim was there when all that happened. He was the first or second employee hired by TSR. He worked there through the first 20 or so issues of Dragon magazine until he went off on his own. So I mean, he was there. This is the guy that was there. He's not. He has skins on the wall, and I think Justin wasn't too happy and apparently attacked him.
Yes,
Attacked him online too.
yeah, threatened him via PM, and I did ask Tim in a comment on my video covering some of it whether or not Tim had screenshotted the PM, and he said yes, he did. So basically, he was being threatened with, I believe, it was slander, and we're building a case on you too, which is what Justin already threatened me with legal action.
Yeah.
By the way, though, since I'll explain this real quick. I know I know the rules. I know the ideas of copyright and fair use being transformative. So I know some of you have been having problems seeing Justin's video response to Darlene. So we will show it to you with live commentary from Mike and I.
Much commenting, yes.
Yeah, much commenting. And yes, much pausing so we can make those comments, because we're going to make it transformative. We're going to make it something new and unique, which in the case of Justin, he's certainly new and he's certainly unique. So we're going to keep it along those lines.
Sorry. Anyway, so that was this actually started last year when Eric and I knew of a artist for old TSR that was approached by them with this really weird contract. And a lot of these artist guys just, they're old school. They didn't. I mean, this particular artist, talked to another artist and saying, "I got this contract from the TSR guys. I wanted to do work for them, but it has some weird things in there." And I think one of the things was, by the way, kind of like Darlene's was, "Oh, you can never speak bad about us, and you have to defend us." I think something in the contract along the lines of, "By the way, we get everything that you send us, and we own all the rights to everything that you." It was really onerous, and it was like
it had a blank section. And when he asked about the blank section, he was told, "Well, we'll just fill it in later. Just sign."
Yeah, we'll fill that in later. Don't worry about it. Just sign right here, and we'll fill in what the blank section stuff is.
And now I've been asked by others, like, "Well, we should know who the artist is because we should be able to ask them questions." Listen, if they don't want to identify themselves, that's certainly their business.
It wasn't like it was.
I've spoken to the artist, so I know it's legit.
It wasn't completely hidden because this person talked about it on Facebook. So it was on Facebook.
True, but I'm not going
to. They may have taken it down, but I'm just saying.
I think they did.
Whoever put it up, that's not the point. The point is that they were approaching other artists with these really weird contracts, like basically gave them the rights to everything, and I guess just hoping somebody would sign one. Be dumb enough to sign it, and then you're like, okay, well, the contract says here you can't denigrate us, you have to defend us, and by the way, we own all the rights to your work. I mean, it's just they were just doing a Hail Mary pass. Maybe somebody will sign this. Does that sound like somebody, by the way, that is good for the industry and really helping these old people out, these old guys? That just doesn't sound like me. That they're supposedly the champion of old TSR, yet they're kicking all these guys in the nads. They kick Tim, they kick Darlene. They're just, they're really treating these guys like garbage, yet they're supposedly the defenders of these guys. Yeah.
We love the old school. You should come to our Dungeon Hobby Shop, because if you're an old school TSR employee, you get to attend for free. You don't have to pay admission. Okay. Well, first off, if it's a museum, how often are you going to go? Once every 5 or 10 years? I mean, it's not a nonprofit, so donations are going to be slow. Not like the inventory is going to change of the exhibits, right? I mean, right. And that was another issue that Tim Kask had mentioned, is that when the museum was about to open, there was a large attempt, and I got this from numerous individuals in the industry, numerous old school individuals or people that are collectors, that they were contacted to donate stuff to the museum. And universally, they asked the important question, is this a nonprofit? Because if it was a nonprofit, a not-for-profit, the donation is tax deductible. If it's a for-profit museum, you're giving your shit away to somebody, and most people balked at that. And when I asked questions about that, if they were a nonprofit back then, my responses from Justin was, Why is that important? Wouldn't straight out answer the question, but to me, if you're not answering the question, you've obviously answered the question. So, God help us. So, Mike, should we delve into this now? What do you think?
Yeah, let's go ahead and show this, and we will comment because we don't want to.
We don't want a copyright strike. I don't want to violate.
No copyright stuff.
I don't want to violate any of Justin's rights. By the way, that would be considered a re-imaging of the classic Lizard Man logo. That is one of the things that was in question, but that is not the Greg Bell Lizard Man. It is inspired by the Greg Bell Lizard Man. It was redrawn.
Right.
So.
Darlene.
Now, and the reason why I'm posing, he's right away. I'd like to point out that he is either reading from something above him, or he has an inability to make any kind of eye contact when he's saying the vast majority of what he's going to say to Darlene. And either you can't talk for a minute without a script being in front of you, or you can't make eye contact with people because you have an inability to, my opinion, say the truth. So I don't know. And by the way, others have pointed out that he looks a bit like Gargamel when he does these videos, but I that's not my opinion. I actually
would never say that. No,
because I could be accused of deformation of character, right? Not defamation, deformation. That's what I was accused of prior. All right.
I've heard what you've said, and I agree with a lot of
Again, he's still looking up.
what you've said. I'm sorry you went through a lot of mistreatment at the old TSR.
He's apologizing for something he had no control over.
Right? Yeah, this was something that happened that Darlene also referred to, was that there was some people at the old TSR that were, I guess, they were anti-women. Some of the old white guys used to work there back in the late 70s, and they gave her a hard time. And so she had some issues with that, and Tim backed her up on that. Tim Cass backed her up and named a couple names too. So he's apologizing for that, even though he doesn't have to apologize for that, since his TSR is not that TSR. And that person who made the comments never worked for him. Right.
And which I find very interesting, by the way, because you just led up to his next comment, which is something that blows my mind, because it admits something that he's been trying to obfuscate for the last year and a half.
And I'm very sorry. I want to make it clear that my TSR will never treat artists and employees as you were treated in the past.
My TSR.
Oh, I thought that was the same TSR.
I thought so. Isn't this the TSR that we formed Gen Con? By the way, TSR did not form Gen Con. Gen Con was formed before TSR.
I found that out by reading the Game Wizards.
Right.
So read the Game Wizards. It will tell you how Gen Con developed, and they had to end up having to buy it. What, about year 7 or 8, something like that, 6, 7. They bought Gen Con. So no, Gen Con was not started by Gary Gygax.
Well, it wasn't started by TSR.
Well, Gary was there at part of an organization,
right?
And they started it, and then they kind of ran it off and on. And yes, but TSR wasn't even around when it started. So
this is where it becomes, like I said, interesting to me, because he spent the last, I don't know, like 15, 18 months saying that we are TSR. We created Dungeons and Dragons. We started, Gen Con. We. And now it's like, no, my TSR. And by the way, if I was Ernie, I'd be a little pissed off right now, because it is Justin's TSR. It is nobody else's TSR, right? It's my TSR, not our TSR. All right, it wasn't like, Darlene, our TSR won't do that to artists. That would be letting you know where the mindset is. But the mindset that we're getting here is it's Justin's TSR, which is why I think he takes a lot of stuff personal. Maybe we'll get another drunken allegedly drunken rant from a TSR personality before the night is out. I look forward to such stuff like that. It's entertaining. But
I also want you to know that my TSR respects artist rights to retain the ownership of their work.
okay.
That's not what we heard, but you know.
Again with the my TSR, not our TSR, not Ernie and I, because Ernie is the CEO, right? Or no, Ernie is the senior vice president. The CEO was Deinhardt before Deinhardt took his ball of Wonderfield and Giantland and went home. But
and we pay them royalties and a flat fee depending on the situation.
Which is fine. We don't know what the situation, depending on the contract, depending on the job, but whatever, I guess. But now we're going to get to the meat of the matter. This is the part where Mr. Ty Beard might want to make a comment on this.
Darlene, I want you to know that I'll do my best not to have you a part of the suit against Wizards of the Coast. I want you to know that I'll do my best not to have you a part of the suit against Wizards of the Coast.
One more time.
Darlene, I want you to know that I'll do my best not to have you a part of the suit against Wizards of the Coast.
Okay.
So, veiled threat, exactly. Thank you, Ty. I mean, that's my perspective on this too. It is, holy crap. I'll do my best not to, which means I'm gonna guarantee you're gonna be part of my suit because you did not sign my. You'll be a hostile witness maybe, but I'm dragging your ass in. Well, or all right, it's gonna probably be all by Zoom or whatever, but yeah. So unless she's an owner employee, I don't know how.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense to me either. He just thought, it's a not only a failed threat, it's a stupid threat because why would she be dragged into a court? It doesn't make any sense. He's trying to stick the knife in because she didn't sign his paper.
Right. Well, because the paperwork let's put it this way: the paperwork that he wanted her to sign would say that the artwork in question she never signed away to TSR or Wizards of the Coast prior, that she has retained ownership, and now she is giving ownership to TSR, the newest version of TSR, and she was like, "I can't sign that because no matter what
I didn't draw that. Yeah,
I didn't draw what you have in front of me. What you're showing is not my work. So if I sign this, then she would basically be committing perjury, which is a good, But she's also not saying that if they had her actual work in front of her, she hasn't given an opinion on that. But I'm assuming that she's not signed. Why that? It's weird that this would be part of. By the way, we're going to buy your artwork, but including in our initial contract, you need to defend us in court. What? Why would that be part of a contract for work for hire? It's like slimy.
Yeah,
it's not more slimy. So, by the way, I'm going to make an observation. Justin Lanasa has accused the tavern of deleting comments on the on various videos because they spoke the truth. Well, yeah, they did speak the truth of my last name, which, by the way, is out there, and it's Stiene. I'll repeat it for those who are slow. Stiene. Looking towards the word relight, looking to continue a light. It's all there. But they were being a jackass by spamming the comment section with that and my street address. So that, to me, is not legitimate issues. But you notice that Justin has turned the comments off. There are no comments because he doesn't want any comments, right? Because
Yeah.
he can't handle any comments. So I don't know, Justin. You want conversation, but you only want it in one direction. Which, by the way, reminds me of somebody else that used to be part of this gaming community, Zach Smith, who only had conversations that they could win. But hey, you know. But let's go. Is there a question over still owning the rights to the art? Wasn't there a mass give back of art rights by Atkinson, Dandelion Games? I do not know, but these are TSR logos, so I don't know. You know what? Maybe Justin could ask Atkinson. Maybe that's somebody he should be dragging into court to have those questions answered. That would go swimmingly well. I'm sure Atkinson would love to be brought into a legal action by the company that he banned from his convention preemptively. Gary, these new TSR people need to shut it down. If they keep after her this way, Cena is going to beat them senseless. Possibly. Yeah, I thought that was my phone going off. That was me today.
That was me. Me. Sorry, I didn't turn my phone off. Continue, sir.
So, and then from Jeffrey, assuming that some of us are only somewhat aware of this whole TSR business. Oh my God. Oh, that's right. Jeff lives out in the boonies. You know, he probably only has internet on alternate Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Besides a shop with some cool gaming relics, are they actually a publisher? I guess I'm not entirely certain of what TSR is. Well, you know what? Here, we're not quite certain of what they are either.
I don't think they're quite certain who they are. Yeah.
Right here, but see here, I put something up in the chat in the window. So this was from their Discord server. Dear Michael KH, this is Michael Havermeyer. This is the real TSR Michael, not the one you find on Twitter, who's fucking hilarious. You know, this Discord isn't exactly useful if the only purpose it serves is for some of us to shout questions into the void, hoping for an answer. That's just TSR in general. They don't like to answer questions. You all want to put things on the right track again, do an AMA. Hell, you can even moderate it. Because let's face it, you're going to get some questions you don't want or probably shouldn't answer due to ongoing legal actions. At least field some fan questions about your products. At least act like you care about your target audience. All right. So Michael responded. The SFNG, Star Frontiers, is that new generation, next generation? I forget how they subtitle it. First edition was D20 Modern. Star Frontiers NG second edition will be something different because we have no fucking idea what it's going to be. No, because we choose to go in a different direction than the first print, we haven't published much about it, but we will when we can. Thanks for the questions. More to come as we are able. All right. So I have information. Now we're going to put this on the level of rumor because I don't have this in print anywhere. I can't say 100% for sure, but my source says they have good information that there were less than a dozen copies of the first edition of Star Frontiers No Good or Noragene, but that these copies went to friends and families only. Apparently, it was like a Kinko's printing, and likely, in my opinion, that was to strengthen their trademark case because Star Frontiers is also in dispute. So we printed something. Nobody in the public bought it because we didn't give any copies out to the public. It sold out before we even put it up onto the website. But and
all three copies
Modern,
or 5 copies or
yeah, it was D20 Modern likely so we could literally copy 90% of what was already in the OGL, slap it into a book, do a basic layout, and call it Star Frontier. But now we got to do something. People are bitching and complaining since they saw the character sheet was D20. And once they saw the character sheet was D20, and it's like, oh, it's D20 Modern. Star Frontiers was a percentile system. They can't use the system, and they can't use the setting, and they can't use the copyrighted material. So all they got is the name and what.
They just
So
have the name Star Frontiers, and they're going to probably try to create some aliens that kind of look like the Vrusk and the Dralasts or whatever. And yeah, it's not going to be anything close to Star Frontiers, but it'll have the name. So
right. Ty, has it been more than 35 years since TSR used her artwork in a product? I have no idea. I will say shaking my magic OSR 8-ball answer is fuzzy. I don't know. You know, if we had somebody like I don't know, Bill Meinhardt on, I'm sure Bill would know that answer. And
right.
Can you name Darlene's last work for TSR? I can name that in 2 seconds flat.
Well, she did. The map was her big claim to fame. And after that, she did some interior illustrations for some books. But she didn't do a lot of. I don't think she did anything in the Monster Manual. I believe this is her. Maybe not. I know the unicorn in the front of the Dungeon Master's Guide is. So she did a few things here and there. She did some of those monster cards. I mean, but she never did a whole lot. She did a whole lot. Now, what happened was she was pretty much out of gaming until about 2007. Gary called her and said, "Hey, would you like to work on the map for the Castles Zagig project?" And so she did a beautiful map for the town of Eggsburg. She did a map for that. And that was the first thing she'd done in like 20 years.
Right.
And so after that, I don't think she did a lot more for Eggsburg, but then she started kind of going to conventions. So we see her convention stuff, but she never did a lot at the time. Like I said, the map was her big claim to fame. She did some various illustrations. She only did one cover to Dragon magazine. She did that. But she did some interior illustrations, not a whole lot ever.
Jeff, those dollar store dice are actually they were in Dollar Tree. I got them last year around Christmas time. I had a box sent to my house. They're not bad dice for $1 a set. I've actually never seen them in a Dollar Tree itself. Not that I've looked that closely, but because I already have like 24 sets, I don't need fucking more. But I don't know if they're still selling them on their site, but it was certainly worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Ty Beard, there's a federal law that can return intellectual property to an artist if it isn't work for hire and if it isn't used for 35 years. I literally do not know. But yeah, it's a good question. Jeffrey, I may be misremembering, but didn't Rob Kuntz use one of those unused logos for his 3-line studio adventures?
I don't think so, but I don't. I have to look at that.
Again, answer cloudy.
Mm-hmm.
Gary,
we really came prepared.
500, yes.
We came prepared. We don't know what we're talking about. Jeff says also we'll just map the Eastmark. I guess that's what I was talking about. And it's very much, if you haven't seen it, it's a beautiful map. It's very much in the World of Greyhawk style. It's a really pretty map. So you got to buy the city of Eggsburg to get it though. So
the city of Eggsburg. I'm trying to think what else. I know I'm missing something. Go on.
So that's still percolating there. We also had some Wonderfield stuff this week because Giantlands finally came out. So it's automatically better than anything that the new TSR has ever put out.
Right.
Because it's out. And they haven't done anything yet. So Giantlands is out. People are starting to get their copies. Some reviews have popped up here and there. Here's the issue I've seen with people that bought it. I had a friend of mine who's kind of tangentially into gaming. He played a lot of old stuff, and he got Giantlands, and he was all excited about it. And I said, I thought you were only into old school systems. And then I had to gently explain it was not an old school system. He was very disappointed when he read some of the information I gave him about this set. He said, "Well, I guess I won't open it. I'll just sell it someday," because it's absolutely not an old school system in any way, shape, or form. It's a brand new rule set. It has some issues. So last week they came out and said, "Oh, whoa, this is just the beta." So they're kind of doing, I guess, what video game companies do now. When video companies reduce their game now, they get away with all the mistakes in it by saying, "Oh, no, this is just a beta. Just a beta. Don't worry. The real thing will be out in about 4 or 5 months." And so I think this is Giantland's kind of trying to pull the same thing. No. This is just a test run. We're going to have the real thing out pretty soon.
But you're paying $130 plus shipping for a beta. But there's no PDF. All right. So last week live on this show, I took a hit for the team, and I put down $142. I haven't gotten it yet, but
he dropped a hundo and some change on the Giantland's box set, so he can see for himself, because the reviews we read were pretty uniformly negative. But you know what? We like to do some hands-on research, because you never.
Listen, I'm not saying that I have any faint hope that it's going to be like a 9.5 on the scale of 1 to 10 tankards or whatever we're going to use but maybe it's a solid 6, and a solid 6 might not be worth 130, but it might still be playable. I don't know. Now, by the way, Wild Die Woodard says, just looking at the TSR Indiegogo page and Justin's response to a critic from a few weeks back cracks me up. Stop, nothing. Well,
are you sure he did that? Because it looks like all the words are spelled right. So I'm not sure if that was actually.
Well, here, me, myself, and I, this seems like a bad idea. Why would you agree to pay the Wizards of the Coast lawyers when you lose? You don't even have the necessary $50,000 for your own case. And of course, the response from Justin was, "Stop, nothing." By the way, I'm putting a comment there that isn't there but should be. And of course, the response to that was, "So that's 2 of us and 82 others who are following you blindly." So now we got to go. We should actually do this. This should be like a weekly update. So just so folks know, the numbers now are $5,636, 115 backers with 24 days left. 24 days.
That's a good scam. That's a good scam, man.
You have 3.5 weeks.
$5,000, not bad.
To back. Listen, first off, if we were going to do one of those kick tracker pages, the odds of you hitting 50,000 right now is like -10.
Probably not. No, I think it's not going to happen.
Probably not going to hit it. But oh man, where's my page, bro? I might have closed this when I did the. Here we go. No, that's not it.
Man, why don't we jump on this Patreon bandwagon? Jeez, seems like you can make money from not really doing too much.
Well, here, all right. So let me add something else to this, by the way, because in comparison, they have raised money more than somebody else. All right, they've raised more money than Zach Smith has for his legal actions.
Zach's a story this week too. We forgot about Zach.
No, we never forget about Zach.
We haven't gotten to him yet, but no, Zach is Zach got a ruler slapped on the back of his hand this week.
Well, he actually got slapped in the summertime, but nobody knew about that shit. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing with Zach: when Zach files legal actions and it's going well, you know about it. When it's not going well, you don't know about it. So, I was sent a link to the GoFundMe fundraiser. Again, now, this is from a taverner who specifically said, please don't fucking mention my name.
Yeah, who wants to get mixed up with Zach? Yikes.
So
understand perfectly.
So there's just over $3,000 raised. So this is something where if you are Justin Lanasa, you can literally say, I did something better than Zach Smith. I raised more money for my legal cause.
I thought Zach was a trust fund baby. He doesn't need this money.
Well, he's only looking for now. Here's technically he's not running this. It's being run for him by one of his former
of course it is.
roommates. And Ty, if you're still here, I will send you a link to the court case later after this, if I can remember, or ping me later. Yeah, this is me trying to be Wenger. Okay, I got the green halo, but
yeah, well, we need your Ty. We need your opinion on a sex pervert's
yeah.
case
So
with other sex perverts. So it'd be some fun reading for you.
Basically, to make the long story short, he's got a case going in Los Angeles County, California, and he is suing for slander, I guess, or whatever.
What's the name? Vic? Is it Vic?
Vicky? Yeah, you know what? They all have
Vivid Vicky or Vivid.
I think she has like et al. Because she has so many stage names. But in any case, he's suing her because
she was a roommate with he and Mandy back when they were doing their porn videos, and she says she was emotionally and physically forced to do porn with them, do a bunch of other. It's really disturbing. Ty will love to read it because it
yes.
But no, it's disturbing stuff, and she says that he was both physically and emotionally abusive to her, and
these are perks, man. I'll hook you up.
And so she, when all this started crumbling down for Zach and Mandy accused him of stuff, well, Vivid Victoria or whatever her name is jumped on the bandwagon too and said, "Oh, by the way, he did all these things to me." Which honestly, I read it and they seem all like things Zach would do. They didn't seem like it was out of character at all. It was like, wait a second. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Some of the stuff that Mandy said he did, I was like, she might have exaggerated a little. This didn't sound exaggerated at all. I thought everything that Vivid V said sounded pretty much like exactly like something he would do or say, which is to be emotionally belittling.
Yes,
and to treat her like dirt. And basically just break her down and just be mean.
See, that's something that he might be a little bit better at than Justin. So, I mean, there's a war of two personalities, and I don't know who's going to come out ahead. But what's interesting is that this legal action, Zach is the plaintiff because they both filed on the same day against each other, but Zach got in first. So I am making the assumption that Zach heard she was filing against him and went, "Oh my God, I got to." First in the door is the power position, so let me get mine in. So there was going to be a hearing where one of her witnesses was going to give testimony. And 10 minutes, not 10 hours, not a day, 10 minutes before the testimony, Zach informs the judge, "Oh, by the way, I have 2 observers that are going to be joining, 2 other women that were supporting Zach, because everybody's picking sides in this one." And apparently, it was an attempt to intimidate the witness. That's how I read it. It certainly pissed off the court, and she sanctioned Zach and his lawyer for over $1,800.
Yeah, it's like if you have a court case against your ex-wife, and you're up in the stands. "Oh, by the way, here's my 2 brothers, Shane and Hick." And they walk in with axe handles over their shoulder, and you're like, I don't feel like I want to say anything now. And that's pretty much what I think what this boiled down to is he rolled into people that are, pointing there to like this,
Yeah.
And it was so obvious, even the judge noticed it. Just like
this is come on, bullshit. Now, closing arguments happened in this case December 21st. I don't have access to the public documents that aren't really publicly available unless you're willing to get shaken down by the court system or a private entity that was shaken down prior by the court system. But I will put links into the show notes so folks who might want to explore this can explore it to their leisure. And I will send links directly to Ty so Ty can Ty, I'm going to give you a warning. Just from what is publicly available, I can only imagine what the actual testimony was. It's going to be like, "I'm sorry, but you have to be, can you prove that you're 21 or older?" Isn't it 18? No. Trust me. It's 21 or older for this one. Okay.
Oh boy.
And it's like, wait a second. If you don't remember when porn theaters had to get like hosed down at least like every other day, you really should not be reading this legal act.
Do not kink shame, Eric. Come on, no kink shaming. Yeah. So, I guess how is the court case with Mandy still going on? How did that work out? I didn't hear
how the case with Mandy is apparently still going on, and it's actually quoted here on this GoFundMe. And by the way, the pitch is never ending, but we're only going to go with the first. First paragraph, because it really is. I'm not saying a person here is part of the cult of Zach, but if they were the cult of Zach, she'd not only be a client, she'd be the president. I've helped create this fundraising campaign in support of my friend, former roommate. Now, by the way, not kink shaming, but anybody who's a former roommate of Zach, you're not. It wasn't just you weren't just a roommate getting a bed in the next room. Just putting it there. Roommate, the artist Zach Smith. Zach's life has been destroyed due to recent online defamation. See, now she spells it right. She doesn't accuse the person of people of deformation. It's defamation of character. Sorry, apparently I deform people, Mike, just so you know. Online defamation of character being posted by his ex-girlfriend Mandy and spread over the internet by people who have never even met the couple in person. I do know them, and I know what she's saying isn't true. The money we are raising is to help cover legal fees because of the devastating impact Mandy's lies have had on Zach. Excuse me. The judge in Ottawa presiding over Zach's defamation suit against Mandy stated, given the impact of the Facebook post on Smith, this lawsuit is not a disproportionate response since Nagy has not filed a criminal complaint against him and Smith has not been able to obtain a retraction. It is difficult to see how he would otherwise reestablish his personal and professional reputation. My understanding is that the reason why, I guess Mandy is an Ottawa resident, Canadian citizen.
Canadian, yes.
So, talk about drawing the short straw. Canada has a lower bar than the U.S. in general does when it comes to slander and libel. Mm-hmm. And Ottawa's bar is apparently so low that you probably can't Lindy under it. You probably would,
right.
You could probably hop over it with a broken leg. I mean, it is really low, and so. But then, like I said, when these things keep on like, no, I want to read more. How many times I got to read more? 3, 4. I mean, she just goes on and on. And listen, a lot of this is going to be he said, she said,
right.
And I'm not sure if I'm adult enough to read a lot of the he said, she said, but certainly going to be interesting. I mean, if you make someone's face contort, does that mean you are deforming them? You know what? Look at Justin's face from that video we just went over, and it was contorted the whole time. So maybe that's what I did. Maybe Tenkar and his deformation ability. I'm dangerous. Apparently, I didn't realize my own strength. So. Sorry. Tis a dangerous thing to have these unknown strengths.
So what do we have left here? We covered close to everything, I think. We're gonna wait on Wonderfield. Wait till we get Giantlands.
Right. Now here's the thing with Wonderfield. I was trying to join their Discord, and apparently I'm preemptively blocked.
I am too. I can't get in either. So.
Oh well, you know what?
We've been. Although sometimes it's not that you're blocked; it's just that you have been issued an invitation recently. Those invitations expire pretty quickly.
So my Discord.
You may need somebody in there. You may need somebody in there to ask you.
Well, that would be David from Facebook, but David got booted for asking too many questions.
Oh no! Well, unless we know somebody, that we're probably out.
Yeah, I mean he was the one that was given the top down review of the train wreck, otherwise known as Giantland. Now, we mentioned this I think last week, but the cover of Giantland lists Gary Gygax Jr. as
Oh yes,
as in the project. Now, my understanding, and I could be wrong, but this is what I understand, is that Ernie's influence on the game was throwing a few ideas at Jim and then walking away.
Hey, that's okay though. He put his name on the cover, and that way they can add that to the cachet. Like, look, we have Gary Gygax Jr., even though Ernie's never gone by that name.
No,
We have Gary Gygax Jr. on our staff. The guy that didn't do anything. The guy who never wrote anything except for Hobby Shop Dungeon, which was never published.
right. And Memorial Tomb, Benoit, it's coming out. It's going to print this month, so I would assume that it would ship either later this month or next month. It's being fulfilled by Troll Lord Games again. Let me say this.
Wow.
I cannot thank Troll Lord again enough for this. Chenault,
Thank you, Chenaults. You guys are awesome.
I mean, a fucking
Amazing.
home run. Because we would never have seen anything.
No, this would have never. These two, Ernie and Benoit, did not have the ability to bring to get printed and laid out and all that fun stuff. It just wasn't going to happen.
They're not. Neither one is a project manager. Believe me, I'm not a project manager. That's certainly not my forte. But they did one thing that was very smart, and I will give credit where credit is due, and I will repeat this whenever I get an opportunity to. They put the money from the Kickstarter into a business account. It wasn't put into Ernie's personal account.
Nope.
Divided between him and Benoit.
Big mistake that a lot of people make. Huge mistake.
So they put the money into a business account. A couple of years ago at GaryCon, my first GaryCon, Ernie asked to talk to me, sat down with me in the hallway outside the vendor area, and he showed me the bank statements showing that the money was still there.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way in fucking hell Troll Lord would have come in and saved this project.
No.
If the funds to produce it, the funds to publish it weren't still there.
No.
So say what you will about.
And by the way, nobody does that. Everybody, look, Gareth Skarker spent every cent of every money he got for Far West. It's all gone. It's been gone for years. There's nothing left. Nobody saves money like that. That's pretty amazing. They were able to keep that money in a business account all those years, waiting for somebody to come and white knight this project.
No, you're right, and that's one of those 1 in a million deals. It's a failure with good proactive thinking that prevented it from being an outright failure.
Yeah, we'll eventually see it. We're actually going to see this project, so that's good. That's a good thing.
Now, you mentioned Far West. Now, I like to point this out. Far West and my marriage to Rach have a lot in common. Since, I think it was 2 nights before our wedding, I had to submit my picture for the guy with red hands. I paid for the $150 to get the full plate, and it was supposed to be.
Hey, but at least you did get your picture though.
Supposed to be done by a real artist.
You got your picture, man. Come on.
My art, it wasn't done by a real artist. It was done by Gareth Skarka.
Looked like he was rotoscoping. Yes, it's terrible.
Yeah, but in any case, literally, Rachel and I got married in December of 2011. This project was due to ship in December of 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are in 2022. The wedding went well. The marriage has gone swimmingly.
Why is he keeping this up? Come on.
Well,
tell us it's never going to come out. Come on.
First off. Last July, Gareth made the announcement, and he doesn't make these announcements, by the way. You don't find this out on the Kickstarter page. And why does Gareth not go to Kickstarter? Because Kickstarter is bad for his mental health. Okay. Because when you're 10 years fucking late, no, the ability of anybody to go on there and give you an emotional or mental jerk off is limited. Okay.
But it's like he's trying to cause you pain because at this point you just don't post anymore. Nothing's going to happen. You just don't give anybody false hope. Just don't post anymore. Period. Instead of sitting there going, it's like that girlfriend that would never really commit, and then you're still getting beat up by her 10 years later, and she's like, oh, I don't know, maybe I might go back to you. I'm not sure. And why would you stand for that? You'd be like, no, I really just don't stop calling me. I don't want to hear that you're going to come back to me. Oh, but I might. I'm just thinking. I'm thinking about it. Just cut it off. Cut it.
Well, Wild Die has his latest update. I don't remember Wild Die if this was on Twitter, most likely, or if this was on the Far West forums. I've been suffering from stress, nightmares, and panic attacks, mostly centered around not having Far West fully completed and out the door.
Sure.
But the thing is, the promise was not having Far West fully completed. The promise was, end of 2021, I will give you whatever I have in the state that it is, end of 2021, and then work from there. In other words, if all he had done with a title page, we were supposed to get a title page. But now, problem with that would be if all you have done with the title page and you've promised us you have a project, that sucks. I forget that Gareth has a blog because really, if Gareth could work in
he tweets so much, he could have written 16 game supplements if he just took all his tweets and put them in a book. He tweets like 100 times a day, every day.
So, I mean, listen, the fact that Gareth still has a career in the industry blows my mind.
Are we sure he still has a career in the industry, though? I don't know. He does a lot. He does something under his stage name or his fake name. I know.
Well, he uses his fake name. He uses his grandmother's maiden name. So it's Michael Brophy. There we go. Michael Brophy is his alternate name. He's used that on some Star Trek products. And by the way, just so you all know, if you go to Humble Bundle, I believe Star Trek is still one of the Humble Bundles. If you want to get the PDFs cheap, certainly a way to do so. Because there were a lot of people who were saying that, like, oh, I'm not going to buy Star Trek products because Gareth.
Right, how dare Gareth this? And so, hey, let's just put his name, a fake name there that people will know that. Well, that tells you right there, somebody's doing something wrong if they're going to change their name.
Yeah, Ty makes a good point. People who've lost their money don't really care about your emotional travails. Listen, we've heard con crud multiple times, family illnesses, mental
pets
illnesses,
dying, lots of pets. I had every pet for a while. So my line was, I think their house is built on the pet cemetery or a nuclear dump site because every pet they had died in like a 3-year period, and every time one of their pets died, they had to have a full month of mourning. And he couldn't do anything because he just loved that dog and or cat and or llama and or emu and or hamster so much that they had to mourn for a really long time. And it became a joke after a while because, like, oh my God, what pet died this month?
Ty asked for a link to the blog. I'm going to put it into the
My pet tarantula died. I can't
wait for a month. I had a pet cockroach and somebody stepped on it. What happened? So that's his blog. I haven't seen if it was up on his blog.
We'll go back to our good buddy, the Wandering Wizard, Mike Nistel, who had 3 Kickstarters running, got about $100,000, blew it all on, I don't know, dope, coke, and drinking. Maybe probably not, but I mean,
he blew it.
Oh, that's right. He tried to start his own company. Even though that wasn't the Kickstarter.
No, he didn't. He blew it on DwarfCon,
which
was money just pissed away. Mm-hmm. And then the remaining money, he tried to form the business. Now, it's not the first time somebody has gone that route, or not the only time. Frost, a guy who used to write for Paizo, Joshua Frost. He also did that. And with Joshua, he had a Kickstarter, and it looked interesting, and I backed it. And then before the Kickstarter actually got into your hands, he was already kickstarting an additional book for the original rule book. And why do I want a book for a game that hasn't even come out yet? I want my game first. And then he had like a year later, he had to make the true confession that he blew all the money from the 2 Kickstarters on founding a business where he hired a full-time artist and a receptionist for this business that produced nothing, and an office, because this was, I guess, his idea of, I'm a professional now. I've got $100,000 here. I got to use it, and we're going to make $1 million. And no, put out your shit and build it up the normal way. So now Mike Neistel, he had his 3 projects, one of which he the dwarven one. I can visualize it. Can't remember the name of it right now. Holy crap! There was Infinite Dungeons.
Infinite Dungeons.
He sold that one off. You had the dwarven one, which Axes and Anvils.
Yes, Axes and Anvils.
And then he had the fantasy anthropomorphic one.
Right. Yeah, it was animals you played. But the thing was, this is why you're no longer allowed to run concurrent Kickstarters, because this wasn't just Nista. A lot of people were taking advantage of this in the early days, where they would just Center Stage Miniatures did much the same thing too, where they would just ran one Kickstarter after another to keep financing the one in front of it. It was a Ponzi scheme. Well, this is pretty much along the same lines.
Yeah. By the way, Ty wants to know, what was Far West? Far West was the what was it? The multi-genre, multimedia super thing that was going to blow everybody's brains.
Right. Yep.
It was going to be fiction. It was going to be music. It was going
there was a lot of
he thought he had an on-demand series that was going to come from it. It was basically Far West, so it was a Western setting with Chinese influence. So think, I guess you could say, think of Serenity, all right, but take the science fiction out of it, and that, because Serenity was
kind of like Wild Wild West with that guy. It was just kind of like the West, but there was a Asian influence, and there would it was just kind of a steampunky type feel. Yeah, but set the old West.
Yeah, this was during the Kickstarter land grab era, where good ideas were really what.
Yeah, I have a great idea. I haven't written anything yet, but I know this could make a lot of money. And a lot of times they did, and then I made $150,000. I have no clue what to do. I just had a great idea. I have no clue what I'm going to do with this $150,000 now. I don't know. I'm going to spend some money on blowing Coke or blowing booze. I don't know, And so, you had this happen a lot. Then as time went on, Kickstarter firmed up their rules, a bit here, a bit there. Now you're not allowed to run 3 Kickstarters at once, at least under the same company name.
Right.
You have to at least do something towards fulfilling a Kickstarter even before you can run another one. You can't do the Ponzi scheme where I'm going to just keep running Kickstarters to fund the one in front of it. And so they did firm up a lot of their rules after stuff like this. But the early days were the Wild West, man. They just, if you were a guy with an idea and nobody even had to know who you were, you just threw that idea up there and boom, people were throwing money at you right and left.
Yeah, I'm part of the things too is that, I mean, here, let me put this in so people can appreciate it. Hold on.
There you go. Look, it's Kung Fu Eric there.
Because I was Kung Fu fighting. So that's what I paid an extra $100 for. I paid $100 for me in red hand, and really all it is my head photoshopped on something else, and it's not even a good Photoshop. I mean,
I still love this. I love this picture. Love it so much.
I mean, and I was supposed to get a print of that. So that is really now here's the other thing too. Like we're talking about Mike Neistel. So, Karen was the other project. So he had all these projects.
Oh, Karen, yeah.
Karen got picked up by another company who If you paid for a print product, you did not get anything in print. You got a PDF, but they got the rights. So you lost out if you were backing for print. And Infinite Dungeons got picked up by another company. I don't know if they supplied print on that one. I think they also only did PDF fulfillment. Axes and Anvils, he didn't want to let go of. That was the one that he really believed in.
He thought he could make some money off Axes and Anvils, I have a feeling.
And he had somebody else come in to try to rework the rules, make it workable. And the individual that came in tried really hard. And then Mike would shoot down their changes. After being told, you have carte blanche, you do what you need, I'm not going to interfere. Mike came in and interfered. And I don't know if anything ever was officially released for that. I know
I don't think I want to say there was a PDF, but maybe not. I don't think there was.
I think I got an early beta because again, I knew the author.
Now here's the deal about Mike Distel. So this happened. He came up and said, "Look, you know what? I'm a shitty businessman.
Yes,
all the money's gone. I'm a shitty businessman. What are you gonna do?" And he exited the industry. He pretty much got out of the industry. Did stand-up comedy. Did teaching, I think, some other things, but he has no longer darkened the doorway of RPG industry.
Right. He was doing stand-up and he was couch surfing for the longest time.
Yeah.
So he had the name the Wandering Wizard, and it wasn't just because he was the Wandering Wizard. He was literally wandering and couch surfing. But he also said, too, that not only am I a bad businessman, anybody who gives me money in the future is a fool.
You got to respect that kind of self-knowledge. Yeah. You really do. Because that's something that's eluded people like Gareth all these years. I think still refuses to believe he's just a liar. Right. He's a liar. I think he doesn't want to be known. Well, I'm not really a liar. If I tell people it's going to come out and it doesn't come out yet, that's not lying. That's exactly, it's lying. It's just lying every time you say it because good intentions don't matter for squat.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't care about your intentions.
There's a website devoted to Gareth's delivery dates. I'm gonna put it up on the.
Oh, that was funny. I'd forgotten a lot of those excuses.
All right, so now most folks did not realize that he had a license. He actually had a contract signed with Cubicle 7. Cubicle 7 was going to distribute. I think they were going to print. This was going to be, that would have been huge. Far West would have been a huge RPG in the industry. But what happened? Gareth couldn't give them a completed manuscript. Couldn't even come close.
To this day, yeah.
And this is when those lies started bubbling forth. Now, you could say it's writer's block, but he was still writing for other companies. So
right. Because he still had to make money. I mean, he still had to put food on the table. So he would do work. He just wasn't doing the work that he'd already been paid for because that money was already spent. And look, when that money's spent, you don't feel a big obligation. You don't feel obligation.
Right. It's like, well, what? Why should I have to produce something? That money was spent on medical expenses, and there were supposedly medical expenses, and he might have. I don't know. There were rumors at one point that he might have temporarily lost his teaching position at the local college where he was teaching game design. I'm not saying that he didn't have stuff that cropped up, but when you owe a community $50,000 and you've taken that money in, you owe them some kind of results. So this starts in December. Should I just give the dates of the promises? December 2011, December 2011, December 2011, January 2012, New Year's 2012, February 2012, March, April 2012, August or September 2012, March 2012, April 2012, May 2012, May 2012, June 2012.
Oh my God.
June 2012, August and September 2012.
His modus operandi was to issue it'll be here any day, every 3 or 4 months, and that way, I guess that worked for him in the past. He thought that could keep people. Yeah, 10 years ago, promising. At this point, give it up, man. Come on, give it up. Give it up.
October 2012, November 2012, November 2012, December 2012, December 2012, summer 2013, end of summer 2013. And
all right. We can dispense, Eric. I'm about to fall asleep here because this is going to
be ridiculous. But here, I'm just going to scroll. Here, how about I just scroll? I just keep on scrolling. Scrolling.
There's got to be some award for most persistent. I mean, I guess he and Raggy still hasn't come out with his
James made that. I'm going to make a prediction like 5 years in the future because it'll never take that long, and it did, and it has.
He does every once in a while say it's still going to. He says it's still going to come out. I believe Raggy before I believe this guy. Yeah, right, Raggy will probably eventually come out with something.
Right. So there's 78 promises on delivery times. So yes, Ty, 10 years ago, he's still promising. If he's nothing if not consistent in his ability to lie. Oh, he literally could have made a great lawyer. Your Honor, yes, I'll have that for you on your. We'll have that before the bench on Monday. I don't know if
it works that way. I don't think it works that way.
Your Honor, my cat had a hairball passed.
Continuance, please. I had my cats died again this week. Another cat, actually.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, but my printer spewed hairballs. We'll have to give it to you on a week from Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the judge died of old age. You got a new one? Have you heard this excuse yet, Your Honor? Can I try this excuse now? Can we please?
There's a court case that someday I hope they make a movie of, and it's been a couple decades since this happened, but it was I'm trying to remember as many details as I can, but it was a company that put out some product that class action was formed that said that it harmed people, and the company's modus operandi up to them was to litigate everything. Because when you say you're going to litigate something, most people back off or they'll take a settlement, right? Oh, I don't want to deal with this. It's going to take years. Well, they ran into a lawyer. I want to say it was a Texas lawyer, but I'm not sure. That said, all right, we're going to take you to court. This case literally took years because what the strategy was for the company being litigated was so let's say there's 830 people in this class action suit. They did a dossier on every single person. They called every single one of them as a witness. And then when they got up to the stand, they would question them extensively about their background and say, are you sure there's nothing in your background that could have caused these physical ailments? So imagine like my mom got part of the Roundup settlement. The Roundup was the poison they put on grass. And so my mom got cancer a few years ago. Well, anybody that got cancer could basically put up this Roundup settlement. They just sent you the money. If you had cancer and you used Roundup, you got sent the money. They weren't going to litigate all these cases because they had something like a $40 million bucket. So at some point, my mom's going to get like $40,000. I don't know when. It's tied up and, it's going to take forever to get it. But no, these guys were not going to, no. They weren't going to do it. They were going to cost themselves more money. They were going to litigate every single one of these claims. So this case went on for year 1, year 2, year 3. Now, certain things started happening. First of all, the jurors started dropping out. There's not a lot of jurors that can be on a trial for years and years unless you're retired and you're not doing anything else. You can afford to go to court every couple of days or a day. But they have alternate jurors. Well, the alternate jurors start running out. So at that point, you start getting antsy because you're like, we might have this case might not get set. I mean, we might have enough jurors drop out that it's with the withdrawal of the whole case. So they started doing stuff like the judge had pity on the jurors. They would give them like a month off. He'd say like, okay, everybody play it. They told all the jurors, choose what month of the year you want your vacation. Okay, they'd all get in the room. They'd all be, we want our vacation in July, Your Honor. Okay, this year we're not going to hear anything in July. The jurors get to take a vacation, and we'll be back in August 1st, and we're going to start the case again. That's how ludicrous. So it was the same kind of thing. So it went on and on and on. And what finally happened was they got down to where they're at the last extra juror. They had no more jurors. So another juror dropped out. The case is gone. Neither side wanted to keep litigating this case. I'd love to find out what cases. It was a Wall Street Journal article that I read years ago. I don't remember, but they eventually settled because of this, because they had been through about 5 years of litigation on this stupid case, and they just said, you know what, let's just finally settle this. And I think they both got what they wanted, kind of. I don't know. Anyway, that's what this is like. It's like the thing that just never ends because nobody wants it. Even Gareth doesn't want this. But it's like he's just stuck in this wheel, just going round and round. Like, I got to keep promising people their product, even though it really is never going to come out. Maybe he thinks that the minute he says it's not going to come out, he'll be sued. But there's nothing to sue. The guy doesn't have any money. The project doesn't have any money. Is somebody really going to throw a class action suit up 10 years later and say we're going to have your head for this? No. Why is he doing? There's no reason to do this.
So Cal wants to know what project by Raggies is overdue. And we're talking the hardcover ref book, basically the second edition of the ref book.
Right. It was a redo of the ref book, yes.
And I mean, I think the ref book for Lamentations, the first ref book, is one of the best products ever written for.
It's very good. Yeah.
It's extremely, extremely well done. And James, if I can find it, I think it's at the end of this whole thing. He talks about why some of the rewards. Why am I saying January 2019 when this thing funded back in like 2014 or something like that? I was still working. Why 2019? Because I think it's a joke. It's ready when it's ready, but we'll never get to 2019. Because there's no real deadline for the book. But be honest,
yeah,
a great many crowdfunding campaigns greatly underestimate the time it takes to get the products together, and to the backers end up being late. Limitation to Flameprint still has some stuff outstanding that's past deadline. Guessing a real date seems like a losing proposition. So, it was supposed to be a haha. Look at me, I'm putting this date years in advance, and then James got writer's block,
and it just never came out. And to this day, he's sort of he's been asked about it a couple times. He's like, yeah, it's going to come out. So he keeps saying it's going to come out. I believe him although James has had his issues too in the last few years. So I don't know. But, I tend to believe James's track record more than Garrett's track record.
Oh, God. And listen, James is more honest about his mental health. He'll come out and he'll talk about his mental health and his issues. Yeah. Gareth will tweet about it and say, "Oh, I have these issues." No, James will come out and say, "Listen, I'm trying to get counseling. I'm trying to get a mental health professional, but the Finnish medical system is giving me a runaround." He's talking about it. Now, I believe James when he says that he had writer's block, and we've known for the longest time how tight the funding has been and a lot of stuff. He had a lot of debts come due, which he paid off, which is great.
Yeah, last year was a real tough year for Lamentations, and James is pretty open about the whole thing. He talked about it quite a bit about what was going on.
Now, I did not purchase any of the latest releases when he was putting them up because honestly, the releases from 2020, I got shipped to me and I took them and I put them on the shelf and I never cracked them open. Do I support games? Yes, but I'm not buying anything else until we get the ref book. And now the ref book is, what did I say? January 2019 with the due date?
It's like 7 years overdue, right?
Well, no, it's been in the works for a long number of years, but it's 3 years overdue. January 2019, so it's 3 years overdue. And I have people ask me, Tenkar, what do you know about the ref book? And what usually happens is I'll make a post about the ref book or I'll do a video about the ref book. Maybe I'll do a video this year. And then James will make as he puts it, the obligatory social media announcement because it's being required upon me because somebody out there is making noise. I understand it. My job in the community is to be that fucking asshole. I get it. And I'm not being that asshole because maybe I am an asshole on some level. But
yeah, come on. The shoe fits, wear it. Come on.
Right. But I'm not doing it just to be a dick. I'm doing it because in the case of Far West, man, I was so psyched about Far West. I thought it was going to be great. and to see these things languishing 10 years later pisses me off. The Rough Book, holy shit, this could have been one of the best things that OSR gaming saw in the last decade. It didn't come out in the last decade. Maybe it'll be one of the best things we see in this decade.
Yeah,
But I want to see it, and I expect to see it. Does a lot of James? See, the thing is with James, a lot of his projects, I planned on it being 250 pages, and now it's 1,200. With Gareth, I think I planned on it being 400 pages, and I could only write 40. So there's a difference. James will overproduce, and Gareth overtweets. So
sad but true. We ended up in Kickstarter. We didn't want to go Kickstarter, but we ended up in Kickstarter.
Yeah, but Ty, listen. But I don't. People do know, like when it comes to people like Ken Whitman, was I a victim of Ken? Not at all. I saw some of that stuff was interesting, but there was something about Ken that set my spidey sense off, and I was like, I don't think I want to give him money.
No.
But did I cover Ken to the point where he was threatening me with the imaginary FBI and with copyright violations and takedowns and lawsuits and all?
And they thought you were Ernie Gygax, which is funny.
Yeah, I thought it was Ernie for a while. He put out a call on social media to find out who is Tenkar really. He goes, "Oh, I know he lives in Lake Geneva," and I'm like, "I know what family he's in." It's like, dude, fucking open up Swords and Witchery Light.
My name's not Gygax.
My fucking last name there, you dumb fuck. But that's something. I don't like people that prey on my community. I'm a member of this community. These people in the community are my extended family. They're my friends. And if you prey on them, you're preying on.
It's really a small swimming pool too. It's not like it's gigantic enough to get forgotten about. I mean, like we're just telling you right now, but these are people that we remember. The Myth and Magic guy, I still remember that guy. I mean, we remember all these guys. Now, if somebody pops along and says, "Oh, who was that guy?" Eric and I will tell you because we were back in those wild and woolly, far west, Wild West days of the early Kickstarter, and we saw a lot of those things come down and just absolutely crash and burn. So yeah, it's good to keep that alive because you got to let people know what happened in the back. You don't learn from mistakes unless you sit there and you say, "Look, this is what happened years and years ago." You can't let people you don't give people passes for stuff like that.
I mean, listen, there's one thing I've mentioned this on the blog, and I'll mention it here. There's one thing that I've been lax at doing, and that is properly pimping good products and calling out bad products in the OSR. And why have I not been doing that? Well, for the longest time, I was a featured reviewer over at DriveThru, which meant I got free product in PDF, but there was an obligation. You couldn't do a negative review. At best, you could do an indifferent review. If you're going to do a negative review, you were supposed to reach out to the publisher to see how they can make fixes or whatever.
Yeah.
So fuck that. All right. So I always felt that I really could not do reviews that I thought were legitimate. So now this year, the money that gets raised, this channel, the money here is initially going to make sure my co-hosts have the best equipment to make these live streams awesome. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to like the drive-through money, they get my affiliate monies. That money is going to go to buy review copies, whether it's PDF or print. And I just ordered a send-in from Autark, Alex Macris. I ordered that in print and PDF. I don't normally do Supers games because I've yet to find one that I've actually enjoyed, but Alex does great work. Axe is one of the best OSR systems ever, and it's great if you want to design your own class for any OSR system. It went platinum. It was gold when I mentioned it. It went platinum after. So that's where your money is going. So I can buy these games. I'm going to give them honest reviews. It's my money or your money, however you want to look at it. But it's not from DriveThru. So we're going to get reviews that are honest. If I got to call something for what it is, I'll call it for what it is. And if I'm reviewing something from, I consider an Alex a friend. Again, he's not a bestie. He's not an acquaintance. He's a friend. Will that color how I review something? I don't know, but I'll let you know that in the review what kind of relationship I have with somebody, if there is one, because that's what being transparent about. That's why I showed the like and dislike stuff on this channel yesterday. I'll probably show later on this week. I'll probably show some of the demographics and where our listeners are coming from, because that's the transparency. That's what you should know about the people that you read, you listen to, you watch. You want honesty. You don't want fake shit. We don't do fake shit.
No.
Oh, Dandelion Games. Yes.
Yeah,
oh,
good question there. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that at some later time, because first of all, people were worried there was going to be no Zine Quest or Zine Quest.
Yep, and that was a stealth announcement too,
which was like shocking. People were shocked. They said, "Okay, we'll get together our own Zine Quest," and then suddenly it was announced that they just moved it, which is, I think, is a good idea.
Well, and with the Gen Con now, I have no inside information on this, so I'm not even gonna call it a rumor. I'm gonna call this spitting out of my ass. All right, I think what happened with was it Luke Crane getting summarily dismissed last year for his bullshit? I think the incoming replacement was not wired in, did not understand how passionate the community was about Zine Quest. I don't think that I think they just kind of went, yeah, I got other stuff on my plate, and this is something that, and then all of a sudden it's like people are bitching and complaining about what's going on. Everybody assumed. People I know that publish zines were all prepping to have stuff ready for Zine Quest, and now Gen Con? No. I don't think that was a plan. I think that was the CYA cover your ass. But again, I don't have any inside information. But going to be interesting, because you're going to have the unofficial Zine Quest coming up, community formed, and they will still. I think what's going to happen is Kickstarter will still promote this unofficial Zine Quest, and maybe in the end we'll get Zine Quest twice a year. I don't know. It's certainly a moneymaker for them. It really is. Don't ask me about Kickstarter going digital with their. I don't even understand what they're doing with their payment system. People are all up in arms over it. I could not. By the way, Mike, this is number 5 of the spam.
Hey, all right, we're getting some spam. That's nice. Nice to know that people think that people are there. That they're there with fake names to spam us. That's awesome.
Last week I was in such a fucking fog because of COVID that I was like clicking on them, putting them up, and then going, "Oh fuck!" And I gotta. None of them have made it to the screen yet.
You're on the game. You're back on the game, man.
Yes, nice. Dandelion Games, the blockchain stuff. I don't understand.
Zine Quest was fun. I'm glad they're going to do it again. I don't know. I saw some. I belong to a couple of zine groups on.
Yes,
that's it was a zine magazine. So I call it zine.
I say Zine, and I'm trying to
zine. Well, I'm on a couple of zine groups on Facebook, and they were really bummed out what it looked like was going to happen. And now that it's going to happen again, they're back to being excited. And so, I think that's cool, because I'm glad that this can. But I think a lot of the zine people overestimate their importance to Kickstarter. Kickstarter doesn't need them. It doesn't need them at all. It's really good they do this, though, because this is really helpful to a lot of the smaller publishers. But honestly,
you don't need them.
Kickstarter doesn't need it.
It what it does, though, is that it brings people into Kickstarter as customers that normally wouldn't go there. So you're thinking, oh, they don't need these individuals. They don't. But you are going to bring people into the marketplace that normally wouldn't show up, and I think that is important for Kickstarter. You're growing your customer base individually. Right. Not one zine creator means shit. But as a group, they're important because they bring new potential. Anybody who backs a zine, maybe they'll back the next $200, beer cooler that charges up your phones and doesn't get.
It's an entrance. It's a way to get into the world. So, the door creaks open.
Marketing. It's more important for marketing than it is for the actual direct business. So I believe, but it's very important for the zine movement in their eyes, because it gets Kickstarter eyes on you. You put up a zine and you have a lowish goal of a couple thousand, you'll probably make it. You'll probably hit it.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So I don't see it as a bad thing at all.
No.
It's a win win, but neither side really needs each other, but both sides will benefit.
Right.
There you go. Oh man, Mike. Are you exhausted? I'm like, or am I just?
I'm about ready to fall asleep here because I think that I'm still getting a little bit of that COVID. Well, I've been taking a lot of medicine for my cough. You know, so I didn't cough very much tonight, but that medicine is, man, it's beat me down. I had droopy eye a couple times, and usually this is the highlight of my week. I'm never tired, but boy,
yeah.
We covered a lot of ground tonight, man.
We did.
And the thing is, we got more coming up, and we're going to start looking into pulling out the special guest card here, where there's a few people that I would like to have on, and so maybe once Eric and I are past COVID, we can start asking a few people. I mean, we don't like to ask people while we're still sick because
right, because it's not going to be the best presentation now. By the way,
no,
to throw this out there,
we're just crawling along right now. We're killing time, man, until we feel better.
But I have been talking with one of the people behind the Blackmore documentary.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah,
yes.
So he'd actually like to come on the show. So I pretty much said when we are better, but it's gonna be interesting because you're getting a perspective. They say that history is won by the winners, but
right, written by the winners, yes.
But it's also, different perspectives. The same event can be observed by two different sides, and both sides are seeing what is the truth, but it's going to be presented and seen differently. So there are events in the history of D&D that you're going to get from the side of the Dave Arneson.
Very much the Game Wizards has a lot about that, because at a certain point, it's funny, reading the Game Wizards, I came to the conclusion that the media hasn't gotten worse over the years. They've always been just worthless assholes. Because every single part of the D&D story, whenever it came to mass media, they fucked it up. And they didn't do any research, and they didn't care anything. Because at a certain point, what they would do is they stopped saying that D&D, the game created by Dave Arneson and Gary Gygax, and they would just say Gary Gygax, the creator of D&D. Even though legally, Dave Arneson's name was on there too. And that was all the media's fault. The media just got tired of having to throw Arneson's name in there.
Because who were they contacting? Gary. And I don't.
Yeah, they're talking to Gary. Gary was,
Gary was not going to correct them.
No, well, he was a flamboyant guy back then. He was making lots of money, doing whatever. He was a great guy to have on screen. Dave Arneson was your typical nerdy, boring guy that you didn't want to have a camera on or talk to.
Right.
And so, yeah, so the whole narrative changed to where, and for years afterwards, all you ever heard was Gary's side of the story too. Gary would go to conventions, and I heard some of the stories Gary would tell, and frankly, reading the Game Wizards, Gary was relying on a very faulty memory for some of the stuff, because John has absolute proof of a lot of this stuff. Oh, he has numbers. He has actual numbers, and Gary would misremember how some things happen. But the history's written by the winners, right? Right. And so in a lot of ways, even though Gary got ousted for the company, he was the winner, in that he was the face of D&D for about 5 or 6 years. Now it didn't end well for him, unfortunately. No, but and actually, honestly, reading through that, I'm sitting there going, Dave Arneson did pretty damn good for himself. Nobody needs to feel sorry for Dave Arneson. He made a absolute shitload of money from his contribution to D&D, because he got royalties on everything. Right. And the stuff he published. Now, his main beef with TSR, maybe we'll spend a whole, you need to finish reading the book. We'll spend a whole one of these on the book. We'll have to get John Peterson on too, because I thought this was an absolutely fascinating book. It was just
stop picking on me about the Egg of Coot video.
It was so fascinating because you read this book and you realize they went from nothing to basically they didn't have a nickel to rub together to they were selling like a couple thousand, 100 copies a month,
Yeah.
and 600, then 1,000. Then they got to where they're selling 50,000 copies a month, like the basic set. I mean, they're making so much money. They have to go out and spend it on garbage stuff just to get the money out of there. And so this whole thing, and then by 1985, they're broke, absolutely fucking broke, and that's why Lorraine Williams had to come in and save the company, because they're broke. I mean, so it's just amazing the rise and fall of this small little company between the years of pretty much 76 to 85. It's just absolutely amazing how quickly they went from the outhouse to the penthouse, right back down to the outhouse. So
All right.
it was a fascinating.
Do I have to read this by next week? Is that going to be our last COVID episode?
I'm feeling pretty good. I think I'm going to be through with this by then. I have a feeling, knock on wood, I think I'm going to be through with this by then.
All right. Sounds like a plan then. All right. I here's the thing. Because I was reading that at all of Rachel's physical therapy appointments. There's been no physical therapy appointments because
I did the same thing, but I powered through the second half because I said I got to finish this. And I was reading it, bringing my wife to the hospital when she first of all, we went to the emergency room last 2 weeks ago, and then I'd read it whenever we got to the doctor, and we didn't go to the doctor for a while. Like, I'm halfway through this. And it got to the best part of the book, which I think is the Egbert stuff, because I remember when that happened. The Dallas Egbert stuff. And so I thought, you know what, this is going to be the most exciting part of the book for me because I remember all this. I need to power through this. And it was really interesting.
All right. I'll have to catch up, and maybe we'll make that our main.
Yeah. It's a really good, it's a good book. It's not action packed drama because it's mostly numbers. It's a lot of numbers, but it's just, and I'll tell you what, there's a couple things in there, as long as I've been studying D&D, that I did not know. And I didn't know. I didn't know that. Did you know that Rose Estes sued TSR? I didn't know that.
Yes, there's an Egg of Coot video where I talk about the Egg of Coot. But now here's the thing. Now, people, I made that connection because I got that connection from the Game Wizards. But then people who knew Dave, or did the documentary about Arneson, pointed out that it was actually about a member of his gaming group, and it predated. Although I personally think that there's a combination of the two. It might have predated, but I think it took on new significance, and it was his way of giving an FU to Gary. But I have no inside information. They both
gave FUs. They both gave FUs because John points out a lot of the FUs that Gary gave to Dave and different stuff. The thief in Village of Hamlet's named Gremig and Renus Duval, which are kind of anagramish for Arneson, and they're described as fat, untrustworthy, miserable human beings. And the King Nosnra, who is the King of the Fire Giants, is also an anagram for Arneson, and he's described as fat and gross and backstabbing. So they were both giving it to each other in their writing.
This is prior to the internet. It's prior to Facebook. Prior to Justin Lanasa being able to make threats at you, which then you screenshot so you can have it for posterity's sake.
Days, we call it.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that. We'll have to cover this book. It's a fascinating book. We'll cover it in a show. We'll probably give a whole show to that book.
But we will also make the statement that, again, we are getting a historical view from one side and one interpretation, and there could be the same time frame, same incidents viewed from a different perspective, might see a different picture. So we'll have to, because we might come back a few weeks later with somebody we're interviewing, and they might say, "Well, listen, there's a correction." Now I don't know,
but I'll tell you what. The one thing that John does very well is that he does not include anecdotes. He only includes stuff that's actually written down somewhere, which helps and hurts. It hurts because it's probably not as interesting as it could be. Anecdotes are fun, right? Because anecdotes, I'm going to tell you about this story, and you laugh because you're like, holy crap, I can't believe that happened. Well, John doesn't really do anecdotes. If it didn't appear in print somewhere and it's not written down, he did, because memories change. Like I'm just the thing about Gary. Gary used to say all these things about TSR that John just proved weren't true. I mean, absolutely were not true. He found that paperwork that said no. I remember one time one of the things he talks about is Gary said at one point the Blooms had 100 of the relatives on staff, and John proves they didn't have 100 relatives. They had a lot, but so did Gary. Gary had a lot of relatives too. Heidi was his secretary. Ernie worked there. I mean, they had a lot of family members from both sides. So Gary was apt to exaggerate things. Yeah, and that's what happens when you get older. You forget things, you change things. Just you make the story, you tell the story that people want to hear, right?
Right.
Gary would be sitting there with a bunch of people who loved Gary, and they want to hear about what a piece of garbage Lorraine Williams was, what a piece of garbage Dave Arneson was, and so he'd feed them that. Yeah, oh my God, let me tell you this story. And so that was part of the deal, was that he's playing to his audience.
By the way, talking about stuff from that era, from that time frame, George DeRosa, Arduin, was it Emperor's Choice Games? We'll also have him on in the coming weeks.
Oh, so, yeah, we definitely.
So again, more historical perspective on gaming, and I've been looking through a lot of the Arduin stuff, and I've been called and stuff like, oh, your interpretation of what, not from George, but from people who knew Arduin's setting and the Arduin game as it was being played. Listen, I'm coming into a lot of the stuff with the with eyes in 2021, 2022. Things look differently 40, 45 years ago. My views are not going to be the same as what people who experienced at that time. Doesn't mean that my views are wrong. It's just different, and maybe yours are more historically accurate. But I'm looking forward to having George on. George will be a great thing. This is going to be a great year for this channel. Mike and I are going to have some really great guests. It's going to be
it's going to be fun, man. We're going to have some great fun this year.
Ty, we'll ask you about a fistful of turkey.
As long as the NOS is hanging out, we're here.
Oh, yeah, we don't have something to talk about. And
as long as Justin doesn't go back to New Jersey, we're going to be doing good.
New Jersey,
doing fine.
We gotta have a Ty on Monday too. So we
gotta wait for another big legal battle.
We could be like Little Junior.
Next big legal battle, we'll have Ty on. That'll be great. Yes.
Yeah. So. Oh, I almost clicked this, man.
Oh no!
I would have ruined my perfect night of not spamming. All right, folks, we've gone past our witching hour. You don't want Mike and I doing the junkie nod.
I'm about to fall. I'm about ready to go.
You still have to drive home. All I got to do is.
I got like 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah,
I got 5 minutes.
All right.
Not even 5 minutes. Not even 5 minutes.
All right, folks, listen, Mike and I. We have the COVID. We had the COVID. We're not telling you get vaxxed. We're not saying don't get vaxxed. We're not saying wear a mask, don't wear a mask. We're saying take precautions. Talk to your medical professionals that you trust, that know your medical history. Be guided by them. All right. Be safe. Be well. God bless. Roll your dice. Roll them well. Thank you to everybody in the live chat. I really do appreciate it. We got a great year coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. And tell your friends, tell your relatives, subscribe. We can definitely. Subscribers. We like those things. All right, folks. Later.